All right, everyone, Dr. Harvison here, joined by my colleague, Dr. Garrett.
Howdy.
Hello, hello. Today we're going to be discussing the deadlift, particularly how to coach the deadlift. So we're going to be looking at how we set up the deadlift and then a lot of the common faults that we see and how to fix those common faults in particular. So to kick things off, we'll just jump in and give kind of our take on the setup for the deadlift, how we approach that. I really like, I'm kind of borrowing from Coach Mark Ripito. There's a video out there of him coaching a CrossFit gym, how to set up with the deadlift. I really like the simplicity of this. And so this is, I think, a great way of coaching and teaching a basic setup, and it kind of scales to your anatomy based on whatever your individual stats may be. And so one of the things that you'll see here as I play this video, as you step up to the bar, the goal here, and this is again crediting Ripito, the goal would be to have, as you look down, the bar should bisect the foot from kind of anterior to posterior or front to back. The bar should be right in the middle of the foot. And really, as we deadlift, we want to see that bar path stay directly over the middle of the foot. We don't want it going too far forward, too far back. We'll get into some of those specifics as we go here. But that's the first step there is get under the bar, have the bar directly over the middle of the foot. And then you reach down and grab the bar, whether that's a mixed grip. I use a double overhand with a hook grip. And then your next step is, once you've grabbed the bar, drop down until you're basically bending or flexing the hips and the knees until your shins touch the bar. And that's where your individual anatomy is going to play a role in determining hip height. We'll get into some of that as well. But basically you're bending until the shins touch the bar. From there, establish a neutral spine or a tight trunk. We'll get into more of that. And then you're just pulling straight up. And it's really that simple. Again, I love the simplicity of that setup for the deadlift. So Dr. Garrett, what kind of things, what's your take or setup keys that you look for in the deadlift?
Yeah, I too appreciate the simplicity. Obviously, a wealth of knowledge in Mark Ripito. I guess to just put my own spin on it, it would just be kind of reaffirming what has already been said. But the three things I'm kind of looking for in the setup are going to be trying to maintain as vertical of a shin as possible. And of course, all of this is dependent on anatomy. If you're dealing with a basketball player that's 6'9" versus a gymnast who is 4'9", there's going to be some variance in length of anatomy and the mechanics of that as well, quite frankly. So in general, though, I'm looking for a vertical shin, and the effort there is to try to get the knees out of the way, but also to load the posterior chain, as this is a posterior chain dominant movement. But oftentimes people can kind of make it a little bit quad dominant by making it more squatty, I guess, if you will. Also making sure that the armpits are over the bar, and there's a great image of this right here, and you could see directly where Dr. Harbison's armpits are in relation to the bar. They're right over top of it, and that's just the best line of pull. It's to where the bar is not going to be being pulled back or being pulled forward. It's going to be a straight line, which is ideal. And then finally, just maintaining a neutral spine. There's some stuff that we'll talk about even in the courses that we teach where there's some advocacy perhaps for a bit of a rounded back, but we're not going to go down that road right now, at least. So a neutral spine. Those three things are going to be vertical shin as possible, armpits over the bar, and a neutral spine.
Beautiful. So again, it can be a very simple setup, and try to keep it as simple as possible when you're coaching and teaching. That way we're not having to think about too many different cues. That said, we'll get into some of the errors next and specifically how to address those and some of the successes that we've found with coaching and cueing specifically.